Hey everyone, it's me Mark, and this is just a quick video on Apple's new release of the new M1 Max and M1 Pro chips, and actually the new 16-inch and 14-inch laptops that have been long awaited since like forever, right? So there were a lot of leaks, a lot of people talking about new laptops being released for Apple with a new 14-inch laptop, the first time ever, and a new 16-inch to replace the old 16-inch laptop. And today it was finally released. Today is the 18th of October 2021. We thought it'll be released like last month, but it's been released today. So I just watched the keynote. It was pretty interesting. And in this video, I'm here to like tell you exactly, talk about the new laptops and if they are for you, if you can like, if this is something you should buy or not, and for whom these laptops are for. So I'll just switch over to the Apple laptop now, site, and let's just check the, it's been updated. So right after the keynote, they updated the site. And as you can see here, the prices are pretty much the same as they were before. So if you bought an old Apple laptop like a month ago or a few weeks ago, then you're paying the same price. But this one is like, the new ones are like really, really fast. They're like 4 times as fast as the old ones for the same price. So as you can see now, it's available starting the 26th of October, which is next week. So you can actually pre-order today and you'll get it next week if they have enough in stock, right? And as you can see here, the full lineup is actually complete. They have new MacBook Airs with M1 chips, new MacBook Pros with M1 chips came out last year, the Pro and the Air. And the new MacBook Pro 14 and 16-inch which just came out just today. So you have M1 chips in all of these Macs, and the difference between the M1 chips and the Intel chips are that the M1 chips are a lot faster. They have longer battery life from 17 hours to 21 hours, like 21 hours in the 16-inch MacBook Pro, 17 hours on the 14-inch MacBook Pro. So that's like the it's like really long. You don't have to charge it all that often, just charge it once a day, and it could actually last you a few days if you don't work that much every day. The only difference between the three MacBooks are that the MacBook Pro 13 is the only MacBook that comes with a touch strip, which is like this strip on top instead of the function keys. It's really good for people that are doing a lot of social media. So if you're doing a lot of social media and you need emojis, and you need like words being suggested to you, right? You can just touch on the touch strip and then you can like insert that word into your typing. So that's pretty cool. And the only laptop that has the touch strip is the MacBook Pro 13. So if you're doing a lot of social media, a lot of typing and stuff, then I get the MacBook Pro 13 with a normal M1 chip. There's no like upgrade to that chip on the 13-inch or the MacBook Air, which are both 13-inch actually. It's only the 14 and the 16-inch laptops that have the upgraded M1 Pro and M1 Max chips that's been released today, which are a lot faster than the old ones, like double as fast to 4 times as fast. Okay, so as you can see here, it says M1 chip and M1 Pro or M1 Max chip. So they have a lot more cores and a lot more GPU. GPU is a graphic processor. So if you're doing a lot of graphics, you'll need a better GPU or a faster GPU. And as you can see here, they come with up to 8 terabytes of storage, which is great. And also, as you can see, up to 21 hours of battery life on a 16-inch. So what's been upgraded to? The camera, the front-facing camera. So that's the camera on the screen. The cool thing is that you might not need an external camera. It's a very good webcam. So if you want to buy another webcam, then you can actually use the built-in camera. It has 1080p, which is full HD, which is actually pretty good resolution, right? I'm not talking about quality here. I'm just talking about the screen resolution. So sometimes you can like upload in 1080p. Which is actually standard nowadays. Before it was like 720p, which is HD. Now it's full HD, which is 1080p. So that's great. They finally updated it. They should have updated it a long time before, because this year it's 2021 now, and usually all laptops should have full HD this year. Okay, so let's just go ahead and check out what else is different. So as you can see here, the Air and the 14 and 16 inch have Touch ID, which means you can use your fingerprint to like log in, and you can also purchase stuff with Apple Card on all of those laptops. So if you want to purchase something in the web, you don't have to type in your password. You can actually purchase by using your fingerprint. You can also like purchase with your watch too. Apple Watch 7 also has that functionality, as well as the iPhone. Okay, so in the US, you can get 3% daily cashback. If you buy like a Mac, you can get 3% cashback on your next purchase. And let's just go ahead and take a look at the 14 and 16 inch models. Let me see on the technical specs. Okay, so here's the thing. There's the 14 and the 16 inch model. You can go ahead and buy the 13 inch model, which is the older one, right? So not the 14 or the 16 inch. The 13 inch model is the older one, and it'll be fast enough for content creation, for course creation, for all your online marketing, online stuff. It'll be fast enough for that. And it's smaller too. So the new ones, they're a little heavier. Okay, so like the 13 inch Air is like really light. I think it's 1.2 kilos, something like that. It's really light, 2.4 pounds, something like that. And the Pro is just a tiny bit heavier, but not much, like 200 grams. And it's a little bit thicker. So if you want something really small and portable, get the 13 inch Air. But get it with 16 gigabytes. So don't get any of those laptops without the 16 gigabytes of minimum RAM. Okay, so don't get 8 gigabytes. That's just unless you're only typing, right? So, but if you're doing some video, get 16 gigabytes, especially if you're using like different apps and opening all of those apps at the same time. Like we usually do. We have Zoom open when we're going live on Zoom, and sometimes we have Ecamm open at the same time, or something like for our notes, right? You have Pages open or your notes open, and then you have some other apps where you want to share, you have them open too. You know, like if you want to do a keynote or something like that, you have that open. So if you have a lot of apps open, get 16 gigabytes of RAM. And the newer laptops, the 14 and 16 inch, you can upgrade them to like 32 gigabytes, right? And if you get the Max chip, you can upgrade it for 64 gigabytes. My computer, the one I'm using now, is the M1. No, it's not an M1. It's the Mac Pro. It has 12 cores with 96 gigabytes of RAM. So it's enough for me. And you don't really need that. It's really an overkill unless you're really doing like video stuff in 3D. Okay, here we go. Let's just check out the different specs. So on the left, I have the 14 inch open, and as you can see, and on the right, I have the 16 inch open. So let's just check out the different specs on both and compare them. As you can see here, you can get two colors. You can get space gray and silver. The only thing I don't like about the new Max is this design. So on the front of the Max, as you can see here, I'll just scroll up a little bit. It's like really, yeah, it's not like streamlined and slanted like in the old Macs are, like, you know, like they look like a shark. The newer Macs look like a whale. Like it's more like, I don't know, it's a little thick. The cool thing is, usually when I'm like sitting on a couch or in bed and I'm working and I'm typing in there, I can actually put the edge of the Mac on my chest and type like that, and put the back of the Mac on my knees, right? So that's actually good that it's not that like thin like the MacBook Air is, so it doesn't hurt my like my chest all that much. So maybe it's a good thing on the ergonometry and yeah, so the usability kind of wise, but the design is really ugly. But that's okay. It's as long as it works, you know, like probably to get more battery life into there. Now let's just check out the different pricings here. So on the 14 inch on the left side, you have $199. About nearly 2K and 2.5K. So that's like the price of the two different versions. Yeah, depending on if you get the M1 Pro chip or the M1 Max chip, right? The M1 Max chip is a lot more performative. So it depends on like what you're doing, right? So actually the basic chip is okay for you. You don't really need the bigger chip unless you're really doing a lot of editing and color correction, which we usually don't do as course creators or online entrepreneurs. So this is like if you're really doing video editing and stuff like that, or 3D. So those are the two chips you can choose, and those are the two prices of the 14 inch. And let's just check out the 16 inch on the next side. And the 16 inch, as you can see here, it comes with 2,500 on its base, and then it's 2.8, and then it's 3.5, right? So if you really want the best chip, you're paying 3,500 dollars. but you don't have the full thing yet. So you still have to like, if you want more gigabytes of RAM, you have to pay for that. And if you want more like terabytes of hard disk space, of solid disk space, you have to pay for that too. It only comes with 1 terabyte of solid disk space, which should be totally enough for you. So as content creators, you can use 1 terabyte. That's totally enough, right? But if you want to keep your whole course or your all of your files on your laptop, like I usually do, so I have all of my courses actually on my laptop too. So in case I want to like update something or the course that I'm working on, I usually have it there, and I have it all in Dropbox too. And I just download the files and sync it to my desktop when I'm working on them. So sometimes it's really good to have more storage. On my Mac Pro, I have 8 terabytes of storage, and it's not enough, right? Okay, so as content creators, usually have all the swipe files and all the stuff, and emails and text and images and all the videos you're making. Like if you go live every day or every week, you have to keep them somewhere. You can put them on a hard drive, an external one, and just connect it. The new Macs have like 3 USB 4 or Thunderbolt 4. It's like a USB-C connection. Like you can connect it there. We'll go into the ports very, very soon. So you can actually connect a hard drive if you want to, but you know, like you have to bring it with you. And sometimes if you like if you pick up your Mac, right, you might lose the connection, and that might destroy the data on the, especially if you're transferring when you're picking it up, right? It might like delete some of the files or make them, so you can't like use them anymore, right? So corrupt the files. Okay, let's just go ahead. The display is great. The cool thing is they added the Xdr display. Xdr display is like the big like display that Apple brought out last year. It's a $5,000 to $6,000 display, depending on if you have the nano coating on there or not. And the great thing about that, it has pure blacks, right? So usually if you have a normal laptop screen, the blacks are not really black. They're sometimes gray, but this is like really black. The blacks are really black, and you have like all the dynamic range, which means you can see all the different nuances of shadows and colors, and that's really good for color correction, especially when you're doing like you're editing your video and you want to color correct your video or something like that. Then you can see like all the different nuances. You can color correct it a lot better, and a lot more precise. So 16.2 inches is like really big. I still have a 17-inch Mac like from before, but the display there is like really small. It's not that good actually. So this is like the best display on a laptop you can get, and it's the same display as the $6,000 bigger Xdr displays. Okay, so high dynamic range is pretty cool too. So as I mentioned, those are the nuances of colors and of shades, like the shades of like from dark to bright, so that's good. And it has up to 1000 nits, which is okay, like and 1600 nits of peak brightness, so you can use it outside too. Okay, so like in sunlight, and the contrast ratio is 1,000,000 to 1, which is pretty good too. So that's really great. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the colors. 1 billion colors, so you can actually color correct on these Macs. So if you're really doing a lot of color and graphic stuff, these are perfect for that. And refresh rates, ProMotion, first time added to a Mac laptop, up to 120 Hertz. So this is cool if you're like scroll a lot and you're sharing your screen. So the scrolling updates a lot more faster. So that's cool too. So if you're doing a lot of scrolling and stuff, this is great for that. Okay, and animation is a lot more smoother and stuff. But you can like it. ProMotion means that it actually takes the it adapts the rate of the refresh rate of the picture of your screen depending on like what you're watching. So that's cool too. So you don't have to like think of it, but I'm sure you can go into the preferences and like put it in yourself. Memory. This is important. If you're using a lot of different apps at the same time, you'll need a lot more memory. So 16 is like the minimum I recommend. Get 16 gigabytes of RAM. If you are doing content creation, stuff like that, get 16, because usually if you have like more than one app open, it might like get slower if you have like too little memory, because once the memory runs out, it's going to be using your hard drive. So that's what it does. Like once your memory gets full, and then it'll be using your hard drive. So that's why sometimes it slows down. Okay, so you can configure this up to 64, which I will probably do because I have a lot of apps open at the same time, and I don't always close my apps. Usually, only the apps you're using use the resources of your memory. But if you look at the activity monitor, which is an app built into every Mac system, you can see like how much memory each app is using. I find that like if you have Gmail open, right, that uses a ton of memory. So you can, and tabs, web browsers, they use a ton of memory. So if you're doing something really important, just close the browser and don't open up all those tabs because that really uses a lot of memory. It saves all the emails and files and all the configurations into memory. So that's just one tip to like save memory. Just don't open up all those tabs. Battery and power is really good on the new Macs. So they have 21 hours of Apple TV app movie playback. So if you're watching videos, you can watch up to 21 hours. Apple TV is like optimized for the app Mac, so that's why it's probably that much. If you're watching on Netflix or something like that, it's probably less. Okay, 14 hours of wireless web surfing. So it has what do you call that? WLAN 6. We'll come to that later. So it's really fast connection, and you can surf on the web for 14 hours. This is great if you're like us, if you want to drive somewhere and work in a restaurant or something like that, and you have your iPhone with you to make like this to like connect it for internet connection, right? So you're tethering it to your using personal hotspot on your iPhone, so you can actually work anywhere you want to, right? So that's pretty cool if your iPhone has a connection. Okay, 100-watt-hour lithium polymer battery. So this is like this stores. That's why it has like 21 hours because it's like a really big battery, a really powerful one, and it charges with 140 watt. The new thing here is the fast charge capability. Okay, so this is really new. They never did this on a Mac laptop before. The iPhone has it, but they never did it in the Mac laptop before. So this is really cool. Fast charging. You got to take a look at that. And you can also charge because MagSafe is back. So that's like this connector for the power source. If you like trip on the wire, trip on the power cable, right, then it doesn't yank your laptop off the table. So that's really cool because that's back. But the problem is if it gets dirty, like it doesn't really stick all that well. So I just hope they put better, stronger magnets in there so you can't yank it out like accidentally, right? But it doesn't matter anyway because like it's 21 hours of battery time. It won't run out. Okay, another thing, you can charge from all the USB-C ports. So it has 3 USB-C ports, as you can see here. You can charge to all of those ports. You don't have to use the MagSafe. So if you have an old charger, you can actually charge to the USB ports too. Okay, here we go. So storage, like I said, 1 terabyte is totally sufficient. 512 is a little bit too little. You can configure this up to 8 terabyte. This is going to be really, really expensive because you have to configure it when you buy it. You can't just buy storage and then just put it inside your Mac. The only way to update the storage is to buy an external drive. And that's cheaper, of course, but you'll always have to like connect it. And like I said, if you're lifting your laptop up, you might lose the connection, you might lose data. So the good thing is if you have the money, then buy like as much storage as you can afford, either 4 terabyte, 8 terabyte, or 2 terabytes of storage. So that's what I recommend. Just get as much storage as you can afford. Okay, this is really, really cool. They updated the SD card slot. They added that again. My old laptops have an SD card slot. Then like for 5 years, they like removed it. And as a photographer and filmmaker, we need that SD card slot. Well, actually, we're also saving to like SSDs and other things, or CFast cards, but SD cards is like what I usually use when I'm doing weddings or filming something. I save it to an SD card, a fast SD card. And if you have that slot on your laptop, you don't need the adapters, right? So I actually hate bringing adapters with me because then it's like one more thing to carry. But if you have an SD card slot on your laptop, you can actually use that slot, and it's a lot faster than having the adapter. So this is really cool. So thank you so much, Apple, for adding the SD card slot back again. And HDMI port, this is cool too because then it doesn't take up any of your Thunderbolt 4 ports or Thunderbolt USB 3 ports, USB-C ports, right? So you can actually connect your monitor, your screen to the HDMI. Like all screens have HDMI. I don't know if it's like HDMI 2.0 or 1.4. It doesn't say. Usually this is like the tech specs, so you should say what version of HDMI it is, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. Just use the HDMI port. Who knows if it's like HDR compatible or not, depending on the version, right? MagSafe 3, so the third version of MagSafe. I have all 3 versions because I have all 3 laptops. No, actually I have the 2 last versions. And I gotta say, like, if it gets a little dirty, then, or if like there's like something stuck between the, like dirt between the MagSafe cable and your laptop, then it might fall off. It doesn't like stick all the well, and the batteries they lose strength over a while. So mine are not really that strong anymore. So let's just hope they made this a little stronger. Okay, this is cool. 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, or USB, also USB-C, and the form factor of USB-C. They had 4 ports before. So if you recall the old MacBook Pros, they had 4 ports. They have 1 less now because they actually changed 1 port into a HDMI. So you have more different ports, but you have less Thunderbolt 3 ports or 4 ports. USB-C ports, which are these over here. So there's like 1 port over here, 1 over here, and 1 over here. But it doesn't really matter. It's okay because you can like add more peripherals to 1 port, and it'll also be fast. So it doesn't matter. So what I usually do is I add one of my main camera, added to 1 port. Then the other port is like audio, okay, and then the other port is like a storage or something like that. And you don't need any peripherals, so the trackpad is built into the laptop and the keyboard is built into the laptop because it's a laptop, so you won't need like a mouse or a keyboard to like plug it in, unless you're like closing the lid and using the like the bigger screen, external screen. But if you have such a big and great screen on your laptop, I just use that as one of your main screens, right? So why close it? And if you do close it, of course, you need an external keyboard. So you can add that too, but mine works with Bluetooth. So I'm using an external keyboard now, and I've just connected it with Bluetooth. Works fine. Okay, so what else? Yeah, as you can see, the form factor is really weird. It's like really flat there. It looks like I don't know, like Moby Dick, right? So it doesn't look like a shark, like in like one of those streamlined tiger sharks. It looks like Moby Dick from the form factor, but it's okay because if you have it on your like in your chest or on your stomach, and you're like typing like that when you're like leaning back, right? Then actually it won't hurt all that much, as if you were like pointed like the MacBook Air. So here we go. Video support. This is pretty cool too. Let me see. Up to 2 external displays with 6K resolution, and up to 3 external displays up to 6K resolution. So you can, like the old M1s, like, well, not really old, like they came out last year. You can only add up to 1 display, right? So if you're getting the 13-inch M1s, you can only add 1 display. Here, you can add like two displays on the M1 Pro chip, or 3 displays on the M1 Max chip. So if you're using multiple displays, I'm using 3 at the moment. So I'll actually get the M1 Max if ever I wanted to connect 3 displays again. But you'll still have the display on the laptop in addition to those external displays, okay? So it says 2 external displays, with the word external being like important here. Okay, Thunderbolt 4. This is pretty cool. It's very fast, 40 gigabytes per second, something like that. I don't know. So it's actually just as fast as Thunderbolt 3, I think. There's not much difference. Just named like a little different. Okay, USB-C display port. So USB-C, this transfers like data to your monitor too. So that's why you can connect all your different screens and monitors to the USB ports and to the HDMI ports. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so you can, it's downwards compatible to Thunderbolt 2 output, which is great if you have an adapter. So I have that adapter. It was a pretty expensive adapter. HDMI output 4K at 60 Hertz, which is totally standard nowadays. Okay, I got this adapter too, so if ever I needed it. But usually I don't have screens with DVIs. Those are all like old connections. Okay, backlit Magic Keyboard. As you know, the last laptop that came out from Mac, like the last few laptops, they really had bad keyboards, right? And because they tried out the new, like, I think it was a butterfly or a scissors mechanism, something like that. And they tried it out and it didn't really work all that well. The keys like just stuck and stuff like that. So it wasn't fun to use, right? And now they this is like the best keyboard they came up with now. It's like the old keyboards, like they were great too, right? So they got back to like the really good keyboards. The thing missing is the touch strip, like on the MacBook Pro 13. So if you need a touch strip, if you're doing a lot of social media and you need those emojis and the word suggestions, then get the 13-inch MacBook Pro with a touch strip. Okay. That's the only laptop that has a touch strip, because they removed it everywhere else because people didn't like it. I think it's cool because if you're doing a lot of social media, then a touch strip is like, you'll work a lot faster. So the keyboard looks different, but it looks cool. Okay, and it's backlit. So if you're working at night, this is good. Wi-Fi 6 is like the standard nowadays, and Bluetooth 5.0, which is standard too. So it's all up to date on all the fastest connectivity thingies. Camera 1080p, as I mentioned before. This is supposed to be standard like a few years ago too. So they made like a big deal out of it by mentioning they now have 1080p. They should have added this a long time ago. So this is supposed to be standard nowadays. This is the resolution. 1080p is 1080 pixels times 1920 pixels, in case you're not sure what 1080p means. P stands for progressive, which means it's full pictures. There's also interlace, which was with the old TVs. They usually made those lines, right? They skipped lines when building up the picture. So you also have video cameras that skip lines, and so that would be like 1080i, which, like with the old video recorders, camcorders, they had I interlaced, and P is progressive, which means like full pictures, right? So they're building the whole picture instead of in lines, in case you don't know. Okay, so audio. This is pretty interesting. They have really, really good audio and spatial audio, which is also new. This came out like, I think last year, something like that, where they're tracking like the position of your head and putting like audio depending on like where your head is. Like if you're more to the left, to the right, looking to the left, looking to the right, they'll like change the audio so it feels like you're in the room. It's like really immersive, right? So this is pretty cool, and there are a lot of apps that support spatial audio in the music app, and also in the in of course Apple TV apps and stuff, and everything that supports spatial audio. So you feel like in the room. And the speakers are really good. There's also really great microphones. This is the studio quality 3-way mic array. My wife has the M1. She has an old MacBook Air, and I actually always lent her like a microphone of mine. But the weird thing is, the microphone built into a MacBook Air that time, like it's like 2 years old. It's really, really good. So I guess that this microphone is even better. So sometimes you won't even need an external microphone. You can use the microphone built into your Mac. Just try it out. If you're recording in the sound room, it will sound great, right? But it always sounds better if it's nearer to your mouth. And because these Macs have chips that don't get that hot, you won't hear like the fan noise. So, but we'll still have to test it. Like they haven't been shipped yet. Okay, 3.5mm headphone jack, so you can like connect like a headphone to it. Okay, and the good cool thing is that this is like this. This actually amplifies the headphones. So you have a headphone with like 250 ohms, like I do. Like my main headphone is 250 ohms. It's a DT770 Pro. This is great for studio, like listening to like music mastering and stuff like that, for studio stuff, for film stuff. Whoopsie. Then it's always good to have the 250 ohm. There's like the 80 ohm, and I think it's 30 ohm or 36, something like that, for like cell phone use. And the 80 ohm is like the one that you can use for any like for the studio or for like going for a walk. And this is the 250 ohms are the ones for like studio only. Okay, so operating requirements. So operating temperature from 10 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius, which means you cannot use this in a sauna. But why should you bring a laptop to the sauna anyway? And then yeah, so you can't use it at like minus degrees. Or you shouldn't actually. And another thing, this is very important. How much does the Mac weigh? So this is the bigger one. This is the 16-inch. Depending on the chip you get, it weighs 2.1 kilograms or 2.2 kilograms with a Max chip. So like this chip has 100 grams more. Let's take a look at what it weighs with the 14-inch on the left side. Sorry for the scrolling. I do not have promotions, so you might get a little dizzy when I scroll here. Okay, so this one has Okay, this is real light. It's 1.6 kilos, so it's just a little bit more heavy than the 13-inch. The 13-inch has 1.4 kilos, I think, or 1.3 kilos. So it's just like 300 grams heavier. So it's not really that much heavier. So this is great if you're like walking, like want to bring it with you. It's not as thin as the MacBook Air, and probably also not as thin as the MacBook Pro 13-inch. And of course, because it's 14-inch, it's a lot bigger, right? I think it's 14.2 inch. Okay, but this is great. It's just a tiny bit smaller than the 15-inch, which was like the top model like a few years ago. Okay, so this is the comparison. This is the comparison video between the MacBook 14-inch and the 16-inch, and also comparing the older MacBooks like the 13-inch Air and the 13-inch Pro. And just to sum it up, which MacBook is better for you? Let me just switch over here, and let's just talk about this now. So the MacBook Air is great if you're like just doing tech stuff. If you do video, that's good too. But it's really small. It doesn't have a fan, which means it'll never get loud, right? But because it doesn't have a fan, if you open up too many apps and you have everything open, then of course once it gets hotter, then the performance drops a little bit. And I suggest getting 16GB of RAM, at least 16GB of RAM on any of those laptops. If you can afford more, get more, and you can have more apps open at the same time. Okay, so MacBook Air is the cheapest one, $999. If you are on educational pricing, which means you're a teacher or you're a student, then you can get it like $100 cheaper. So these are the Macs over here. And there's also the MacBook Pro 13-inch, which is actually a little more performant. It has the same chip as the same processor as the MacBook Air, but the main difference is that you can get this with a touch bar, and it's a little bit, and it has a fan, which means the fan means it actually cools down if it gets too hot, and you get more performance out of that. It's also brighter, so it has 500 nits display brightness, which is half of the other ones of the 14 and 16-inch. It's not that bright, but it's bright enough for outside. If it's sunny, you won't be able to use it all that much, and it's cheap too, right? Okay, so M1 chip, like the older chips that came out last year. This is the first iteration of the Apple chips. Apple started making their chips again last year, which are a lot better than Intel chips. So don't buy Intel Macs, don't buy them. Okay, and the new chips, of course, the M1 Pro chip or M1 Max chip. So which one to get? Just starting out, don't have much of a budget, get the MacBook Air, and with 16GB of RAM and maybe 512 at least on SSDs. If you want something that's a little bit more stronger, a little bit more performance and brighter display and all that stuff, right, then get the MacBook Pro 13-inch. Keep in mind, these only have 2 USB slots. So in comparison to the 14 and 16-inch, these only have 2. The 14 and 16-inch have a lot more. They have 3 USB slots, and they have an HDMI slot and an SD card slot, and also the MagSafe charger as a separate charging unit. Okay, let me see what else. So these are the 2 cheaper ones. They came out last year, so they're not as good as the newer ones. These have been released right now. So the 14 and 16-inch are the new ones that have been released today. And another thing, these are more expensive. So if price is an issue, get the cheaper ones, you'll be happy. So it's not like they're bad or slow or something like that. They're totally sufficient for course creators. The cameras on here are only 720p. This have 1080p cameras, which is full HD, and this only have HD cameras. Okay, so if you have the money and the budget, get the 14-inch. The 14-inch is a little bit more expensive than the 13-inch, but it's a lot faster. I was concerned about the notch being on top over here. Like there's a notch here, as you can see, like they have in the iPhones, because then it will like block like the top menu bar. But what they did is they actually split it, so there's nothing being covered by the notch. It's only left and right, so the icons and the text is going to be left and right of the notch. And they made the screen a lot bigger. They made the what do you call that all around? I forgot what it's called, but they made it thinner, right? The edge is thinner, so the screen takes up more of the space, which is pretty cool. So they can fit a bigger screen on a smaller laptop. Okay, so this is just a comparison of all these laptops. Battery life, MacBook Air 17 hours, MacBook Pro is 20 hours, and oh no, this is 18 hours, this is 20 hours, and these are between 17 and 21 hours of battery life, depending on like what you're doing with the laptop. And the new ones have fast charging, quick charging, which the old ones don't have today. If you like really want to charge really fast, you get the newer ones like the 14-inch, and you can charge like really fast. Okay, and of course size-wise, this is the lightest. This is a little bit heavier, but exactly like about as light. And these are just a tiny bit heavier, but the MacBook Pro 16 is really heavy, like at 2 kilos. Let's take a look at the desktops M1. So the 27-inch doesn't have an M1. Do not get the 27-inch. Wait until the M1 is announced, probably later this year. And there's also an iMac Pro, which is, they removed it. Okay. So don't get anything with Intel chips. Do not get anything with Intel chips. They tend to overheat. The performance gets really bad when they're hot. Just get the ones where it says M1 with M1 on it. Those are Apple's own chips. iMacs come in different colors. Like I like the blue one a lot. The yellow one's pretty cool too. These are very cheap all-in-one desktops. So they come with a screen built in, and they also come with the keyboard and also the mouse or trackpad. You can choose either one of those, or you can choose both of them. And these have the old chips, the M1 chips. They are faster than most of the Intel chips anyway, on the same price category. So you can get like, this is like really good one, but it only has 24 inches, which is bigger than a laptop display. But if you really want a much bigger display, you'll either need to connect one external display. Keep in mind the M1 chips only support one external display. But the M1 Pro and M1 Max, once this gets upgraded to M1 Pro and M1 Max, they will support up to 2 to 3 displays, depending on which one you get, the Pro or the Max. And I guess they're going to be updating the 27-inch iMac pretty soon, and the iMac Pro with the M1 Max and M1 Pro chips. I'm really sure about that. Okay, so just wait until like later on. This is the one I have. I have the Mac Pro. I got it because it has a lot of slots, and I can add another graphic card and have more slots, and I can connect like 2, 3, 4, 5 cameras. I need that connectivity because I'm teaching this stuff, and I need to connect like multiple cameras, multiple microphones, and all that stuff. So if you don't need to connect multiple cameras and microphones, then you don't need a Mac Pro. And I don't suggest anybody getting a Mac Pro actually, because it's on Intel chips. But these are server chips that are like really good. Oh, but it's really expensive too, right? So actually just get the laptop and you're good to go with M1 Max chips. And I'm pretty sure that they're, yeah, it's not really the same, right? Like mine is like a little bit better, but still they come close, probably. We just have to test that. Mac Mini, there's an M1 Mac Mini. So if you like don't have much money, don't have a big budget, you can get like a Mac Mini for $699. And if you have educational discounts, you can get this for I think $580 or something like that. So this doesn't come with a screen, and it doesn't come with a keyboard, I think. But you can order a keyboard with it. I'm pretty sure that's optional. And a trackpad. You'll need a trackpad or a mouse. Okay, so that's about all. Okay. So I hope this was useful, and if you have any questions, then just post them below in the comments. Hope to see you soon again, and yeah, check it out yourself. Pre-order today if you want to. If you don't, doesn't matter. Just you can, like, I usually wait until these have been really tested to see if I should order it or not. And because these are like the first iterations of a new machine, right? The M1 Max and M1 Pro chips. They've probably been tested by Apple, but they haven't been tested on the consumer yet. So sometimes it's always good to wait a few months until like the real tests and the first like updates come out to like fix stuff that don't work. So before you buy one, maybe just wait like a few months to see like how everybody's testing it and how it really works in real life. And another thing they released today are the new AirPods. So I have the AirPods Pro, right? And the new AirPods for $179, which are like a little bit lower than the AirPods Pro, but they have spatial audio built in and a lot of other goodies. So it's also like water resistant like the Pros are. So pretty cool. You can check those out too. And of course, there's still the Airpod Max, which are the bigger ones with different colors. Apple is just going into different colors now. These are like over-the-ear headphones. I won't be showing them today. Okay, so that's it for today. If you have any questions, please comment down below. If you know anybody that could benefit from this video, please share this video by clicking on the share icon. See you soon and have an awesome day. Bye-bye. Take care. See you soon.